Marvel Rivals Ultimates are some of the coolest things to do in the game. To wiping out your enemies out of existence with Scarlet Witch's ult, to removing your enemies' souls from their bodies with Doctor Strange, and to becoming a literal tornado in the game with Storm. But even though we have crazy ultimates that can summon moon gods, we also have ultimates that are just a guy shooting arrows and a girl dancing for 12 seconds. So it's clear that all ultimates in this game are not made equal when it comes to how flashy they are and how powerful they may seem just by looking at them. And if you play Marvel Rivals, we all know that even though an ultimate sounds broken on paper, like wiping your enemies out of existence, it's actually not that good to win a game compared to Luna Snow dancing for 12 seconds. But there are definitely ultimates that sound broken on paper and are broken in the game. So today I want to rank every Marvel Rivals ultimates based on if they were real and see which ultimate is the most broken in Marvel lore, since even though some of the ultimates may seem weak in the game, but for example, if you know how strong Squirrel Girl's squirrels are in Marvel lore, you will definitely be scared of this ultimate. And before we get into this ranking, I'll be ranking these ultimates based on how powerful they are, because some of these ultimates in the game don't deal damage, but instead are ultimates like reviving your whole entire team or transformation ultimates for a hero. So I'll be ranking these ultimates based on how powerful they are in Marvel, and ranking the transformation based on how strong a character is when they transform. So for example, Magic's Darkchild will be ranked on how powerful Magic is in Darkchild form. So with all that explanation out of the way from the ranking, don't forget to like and subscribe, because I had to do research on how powerful some of these ultimates are. So make sure to subscribe, it helps out a lot. But let's get back into this ranking for every Marvel Rivals ultimate. So at last place, we have Luna Snow Ultimate.
I am ready to put on a show!
Now, even though Luna Snow's ultimate is broken in the game, in real life, it's not that crazy. It's just Luna Snow dancing for 12 seconds, which in real life, 12 seconds isn't even that long, unless you're in an anime where 12 seconds lasts 20 episodes. But 12 seconds of Luna Snow dancing is definitely not that powerful as some of these other ultimates in Marvel lore. Next, at second to last place, we have Mantis Ult.
We are undefeatable!
Which is funny because Mantis putting enemies to sleep seems way more powerful on paper than what Mantis is doing with her ultimate. She's just pretty much encouraging her teammates and giving them extra armor, which is a little better than Luna dancing, because Mantis is actually giving people armor, but it's not that big of an upgrade, and it definitely helps that Mantis giving herself extra armor is good, since she's an actual good fighter in Marvel lore. Now next up, we have Rocket's Amplifier.
This is real firepower!
Even though this ultimate increases damage, it's not that big of a deal. It's just a pretty high advanced tech that increases damage output, which is not that great of an ultimate when it comes to Marvel lore. Now next up, even though he's pretty strong, his ultimate is not that strong, and is our first offensive ultimate we have in this list. We have Groot's Rooting Ult. Now, even though Groot is one of the strongest Marvel characters, his ult is pretty underwhelming, since it's just a tree keeping you trapped in place. So just ranking based solely on the ult, not on how powerful Groot is, it sits at the bottom of the Marvel Rivals ultimates. Now next up, we have Spider-Man's ultimate.
Don't mess with the amazing Spider-Man!
Now, even though Spider-Man's a really strong superhero, with him being able to go toe-to-toe with some of Marvel's strongest characters, the ultimate is just him shooting spiderwebs in all directions, which we have seen in movies and in comics. Most regular people can survive through getting hit with a spider web, and most of Spider-Man's strength and what makes him super strong comes from his physical strength rather than his spider webs. So that's why this ultimate is so low on this list, because an average person can survive being hit with a spider web. Now next up, we have Invisible Woman's ult.
Disappear!
Now, even though this ultimate doesn't have some insane firepower as other ultimates have, it's still pretty good showcase of her powers, making a huge area disappear. So even though it's not damaging, still kind of a good display of her powers for what the ultimate is trying to show. But we have seen Invisible Woman do much more cooler things and much more powerful things with her powers than just, making an era go invisible. Now next up, we have Invisible Woman's other half, Mr. Fantastic.
Fantastic!
Which this ultimate is a good showcase of how Mr. Fantastic powers work, with him turning huge and making his body into rubber to bounce on the ground and continue that momentum. But this Marvel Rivals ultimate is definitely not the full potential of what Mr. Fantastic can do with his powers, since in Marvel lore he does even more powerful things with his powers than what he does with this Marvel Rivals ultimate. Now next up, we have our first transformation ultimate with Captain America's Assemble ultimate.
Assemble!
Now, even though Captain America doesn't necessarily transform in this ultimate, but he instead unlocks his full technology of his shield and his suit with this ultimate. So we will treat this as more of a fully powered Captain America than just a single hit like how Groot ult might be. And since Captain America is a skilled fighter and one of the best in the Marvel universe, and is still superhuman with future tech from 2099, at least this version is, he's definitely more of a threat than the rest of the ults we named previously. Now next up, we have Hawkeye's ultimate.
Woo! I never miss!
which even though he's just shooting arrows, this Hawkeye is either shooting explosive arrows or shooting regular metal arrows, which are still pretty strong, and Hawkeye's whole thing is he never misses, so he's almost guaranteed a headshot because of the pinpoint accuracy Hawkeye has in Marvel Comics. His whole thing is he will always hit his targets, and especially since this version of Hawkeye can shoot after images of people, he's definitely not missing his target, so it's just pretty much a guaranteed headshot or a guaranteed hit for Hawkeye. Now next up at number 30 we have Magneto's ultimate,
Thier Magneto!
which is a pretty strong ultimate since he can absorb even more metal while he's in the air and slime a giant metal ball with insane speed, which is like being hit with a cannon right to the face, which is pretty insane for any normal person to be at the receiving end of that cannon. Now next up we have Psylocke's ultimate, which is a pretty strong ultimate. In Marvel lore, she's moving pretty fast and is using a psychic blade which cuts through people with a single slice and has even taken down sentinels. But even though Psylocke's ultimate is pretty strong, Bucky's armed and dangerous ultimate sits right above her.
Armed and dangerous!
Which the reason why this ultimate is pretty strong because his arm almost becomes like an octopus arm. Not to mention this metal Bucky arm is super advanced technology, making it pretty strong in Marvel lore. And since Bucky's already pretty strong by himself being superhuman, it definitely helps that he's using all of his strength to slam this metal arm. And since this ultimate can be used again and again and again, it's slightly above Psylocke's ultimate, even though a single hit of Psylocke's ultimate is way more powerful than one slam of Bucky's ult. But next up, right above Bucky's ult, we have Black Widow's Plasma Burst.
Plasma?
Which even though it's one of the worst ultimates in the game, and it might be the worst ultimate in the game, in real life it's actually pretty strong because imagine being shot by molten plasma at a gun velocity. Might as well pack up because you're not surviving that. But even though it's molten plasma, don't know what the plasma is made up of. It could be as hot as the sun for all we know, but it could also just be liquefied metal, which is probably what it actually is because I doubt Black Widow is just carrying around plasma as hot as the sun. So I'm just gonna assume it's molten plasma braided with metal. Now next up we have Venom's ultimate, which is actually really strong even though it's just a big bite. The reason why it's so strong is because a single regular venom bite can bite a whole person's head off and can even devour a single person's body, which is an insane bite force. And for Venom to even get bigger and have a bigger bite, you just know how strong this is gonna be. But next up, it's not as big as a bite, but it definitely has more firepower, and that is Penny Parker's
It's spider time!
which is an ultimate that is a full speed mech coming at you and leaves behind landmines in her trail, which slightly puts her above a venom bite. But the next ultimate we have is even more devious, which if I was hit by it, I would be looking like that Willem Dafoe meme. We have the Namor ult, which he summons a literal whale at you and slams you down with all its weight. Now, a regular whale weighs around 200 to 300k pounds. Now, this whale looks a little smaller than usual, but I'm just gonna assume Marvel Rivals didn't want to put it to actual scale, but that just shows you how insane some of these other ultimates are coming up. But next up, at number 21, we have Wolverine's ultimate, which even though Wolverine is one of the most powerful Marvel characters, his strength is not at the same level as some of the other strongest characters in Marvel. But this ultimate uses his adamantium claws, which are one of the strongest metals in the Marvel universe, while being unleashed by a pretty strong Marvel character even though his strength is not at the same level as how powerful he is, and then slamming you to the ground, which in my opinion, I would rather take a whale slam than a Wolverine's berserker rage. But starting off our top 20, we have
Judge, jury, executioner!
which is a pretty strong ult for just a guy who shoots guns, because he pulls out 2 machine guns, and even though that sounds like a lot, he still has a rocket launcher attached to his back. That is just pure firepower. That puts Punisher to another level because this type of gunfire could level buildings with how much firepower this is. But even though Punisher has some of the best weapons on Earth, Thor-Lord's weapons are just better. Star-Lord's ultimate activates his tech to its fullest potential. His space guns give him aimbot, which doesn't allow him to miss, and he's even flying in the air, so it's pretty much a mini airstrike. We have seen how strong Star-Lord's guns are in movies like Guardians 2, which he's able to destroy Eagle's body, who's a god on this planet. But when we're talking about tech with pure firepower, this next character has both Punisher and Star-Lord beats when it comes to technology, and that is Iron Man's
Maximum pulse!
which lands him at number 18. And the only reason it's not higher is because you don't really know how strong this blast is, but it's pretty fair to assume it's at least stronger than both Star-Lord's and Punisher's pure firepower, since Iron Man usually has the best tech in the Marvel Universe, since he is one of the smartest minds. But next up at number 17, we have Cloak and Dagger's ultimate.
Us against the world!
The reason why this ult is pretty high is because both Cloak and Dagger are manipulating pure darkness and light energy, so for them to both harness concept of a light is pretty crazy. But if we're talking about pure power, there's not a lot of people who can compete with Thing's.
It's clobbering time!
Which Thing punches the ground and causes a mini earthquake, but the main powerful thing about Thing's ult is his punch, since we have seen his punches hurt characters like the Hulk, and Thing is always shown to be one of the strongest characters in Marvel. But if we're talking about landing a single punch, there's no one who has a stronger punch than the legendary Iron Fist. With Iron Fist's ultimate is an ultimate that pretty much makes Iron Fist lock in and start spamming his Iron Fist ability, and makes him look like an anime character, which is pretty crazy since if you know anything about Iron Fist, his punches hit like a full speed train, which he actually can stop a full speed train with just one of his punches, and can even hurt characters like Hulk's son, so there's no doubt that Iron Fist's punches are stronger than just a single Thing's punch. And not to mention Iron Fist's powers are considered magical powers since they came from a mythical dragon, but that's a whole deep dive into his backstory. But at number 14, we have Storm's ultimate.
Feel the wrath of the goddess!
Which is actually pretty insane, since not only is Storm controlling a tornado, but it's also a lightning tornado. So there is no doubt that even if you survive the tornado's destruction, getting hit with literal lightning right after, yeah, pack your bags. Any hero would be cooked if they were hit with this ultimate. But since we're 3 ultimates outside of the top 10, I just want to talk about the next 3 ultimates because they are kind of a bit weird, and 2 of them are from gag characters, and one is Loki's ultimate, which can be argued to be number 1 since it copies ultimates, and the other 2 are joke characters, and they're usually just for comedy on how strong these characters are. So at number 13, we have Loki's ultimate, which allows him to copy anyone's abilities, which is hard to rank since, you could say it's number 1, but that's not fun, so I'm leaving him outside of the top 10. Then we have at number 12, Jeff's ultimate, where he eats everyone. Which, even though it might sound weak, Jeff canonically is strong enough to eat the literal Infinity Gauntlet with all the Infinity Stones, and all it does to him is give him a light tummy ache. So you can argue this ultimate is number 1, but obviously he is a gag character, and the only reason he's able to do this is because his comics are for comedy. And finally, at number 11, outside of the top 10, we have Squirrel Girl's ultimate. Even though it's just squirrels attacking you, if you know how strong these squirrels are, you will be afraid. These squirrels have taken down characters like Doctor Doom and the Watcher, who is a character that is as close as you can get to a god in the Marvel Universe. And Squirrel Girl defeats all of these characters with just squirrels. And obviously she can be argued to be number 1, but is a joke character after all, like Jeff, so I left her out of the top 10 so I can give these other ultimates a chance, since you can just obviously say Squirrel Girl's ultimate is number 1, since her squirrels can do some crazy stuff in comics. But starting off our top 10, we have Moon Knight's ult.
The moon haunts you!
Where he rips a hole through space and summons the powers of a moon god to summon spirit talons to strike down his enemies, which is an insane ultimate to summon a god's powers. But even though he's ripping through space and time, the ultimates above him on this list are just actually insanely strong. And one of these ultimates is Black Panther's ultimate, where Black Panther summons the spirit of the panther god named Bast.
Tremble before Bast!
Which, even though Moon Knight and Black Panther both kind of use god-like powers, Black Panther actually summons his god, while Moon Knight only uses parts of Khonshu's powers. But at number 8, we have Doctor Strange ultimate.
By the Eye of Agamotto!
Where he activates the Eye of Agamotto and pulls your soul out of your body. Which, unless you are a hero or a villain who knows how to control your actual form, you're pretty much just an empty body with no spirit. So that makes Doctor Strange's ultimate pretty strong, but since there are characters in the Marvel Universe who are talented in magic, it isn't too powerful against characters like Scarlet Witch or Magic, who are pretty strong in sorcery themselves. But at number 7, we have Human Torch's Supernova.
Supernova!
Which, in case you don't know, Human Torch can get as hot as the sun's surface, and using that type of heat to create fire tornadoes could destroy the Earth's ozone layer and pretty much wipe out all of Earth. And since he can get as hot as the sun, it puts him on the same level of people who can summon god powers just because of how hot the sun actually is. Even though we have Human Torch reaching godlike powers, we have a literal god on this list above him with Hela's Hell Unleashed.
Hell unleashed!
Where she unleashes hell flame crows from her hands while shooting them down like an airstrike. While some characters below her summon panther gods, Hela is an actual goddess of death. She's not summoning them, she is one. While in this ultimate, she's just utilizing the full powers of her crows. But next up, at number 5, we have Thor's ultimate.
Beholds the god of thunder!
Where he charges up Mjolnir in the air, which is one of the strongest weapons in the Marvel Universe, while charging up his lightning. He is the god of thunder, so that is pretty strong lightning, and is the strongest lightning you can get in Marvel. And slams slams all that down with his super strength, so this ultimate is just a combination of all his greatest strengths put into one single hit that allows him to be in this top 5. But at number 4, which might be the biggest shock on this list, is Magic's Darkchild.
Behold, Darkchild!
Magic's Darkchild is the biggest case on this list where a character gets a dramatic strength boost, where she's able to fight characters like Dormammu and even defeat him in battle, and is constantly able to go to toe-to-toe with characters like Mephisto. There is no doubt how strong Magic is in its Darkchild form, and easily puts her in number 4. But now, at number 3, we have the strongest support ult in the game based on lower power, because bringing back someone to life is way more powerful than taking people out. We have Adam Warlock's
Born again!
So this is one of the most powerful ultimates in Marvel lore. The only one who can really bring back characters in Marvel are the Marvel Rivals themselves, because everyone knows in Marvel Comics, no one really dies. But at number 2, we have a fully enraged Hulk. Which I think it's pretty obvious to say that a fully enraged Hulk is one of the most dangerous things in Marvel lore. It definitely helps that this is a transformation, since this Hulk is just the definition of the strongest Hulk you can get, who is able to take down literal gods and take down some of the strongest characters in Marvel. But finally, at our number 1 spot, to no one's surprise, we have Scarlet Witch's
Pure chaos!
which is a reference to how Scarlet Witch can wipe people out of existence. She does this in comics by wiping out mutants from the world just by saying no more mutants. And reality warping is nothing new to Scarlet Witch, and her ultimate wiping out of people out of existence is something that can't be beat. No matter how strong you can punch, no matter how powerful you are, being able to just wipe you out of existence with just simple words can't be beat. And it's definitely one of the strongest Marvel Rivals ultimate based on lore strength. But that is every Marvel Rivals ultimate ranked from weakest to strongest. Let me know what you guys thought of this list. Let me know what ultimate you think is the strongest in Marvel Rivals. But let me know what is your guys' favorite ultimate in Marvel Rivals. Mine is of course Star-Lord's Legendary. It's just so fun to turn on aimbot for a couple seconds. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Hope to see you guys next time. Later, hater. Peace.
If that's not the way to go.